Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Football Analytics and Run Show. Today we are back after the UCL quarterfinals. A lot of things happened, and surprisingly, most of the matches most of the matches were close, and most of the matches we actually thought the teams won't be able to come back actually came back, and the team is known for like giving comebacks absolutely sucked and we'll come to that. Where should we start with? Should we start with the first group of matches? I think which we completely overlooked. I think nobody expected those matches to go down that close towards the end, especially how convincingly both the teams that advanced played in the first. Like I think nobody would have expected that kind of resistance,
True, true.
especially yeah. So which one should we start with? Should we start with the yeah, you were
We'll
saying?
we'll start with the Dortmund Barca one because that seemed like it was the most locked and done game, but
Yeah,
apparently not.
Dortmund for Dortmund out.
I don't know what happened in that game. I don't know what was happening. I didn't understand what was happening at all. So, to give you context, on the previous video, we said Barcelona won 4-0. That's a 99% chance they're going through.
Yeah.
But in this game, it did not feel like that at all, not by a long shot.
Yes.
And to be fair, to give Dortmund the credit that they deserve, in the first leg also, they did get chances. It's not like they did not. Because Barcelona play that high line, risky line and all. So Dortmund were able to get in with the pace and all of that. Okay, fair enough. Okay, they deserve credit for getting on the counter, going and attacking fast and all. But I don't know what heck Barcelona was thinking. I don't understand what was happening. The first one where Chesney went in for the
Hmm.
to get the ball and did that. Okay, that's a genuine mistake. And okay,
Yeah.
sometimes it happens. Especially this guy is coming out of
No,
retirement.
that was a smart play. I mean, like just he knew keeper was going to come out just before Chesney got to the ball. He smartly put the ball to the side. Then Chesney was eventually then, anyways, going to touch the Girassis like there anyway at some point he was going to touch it. Looked like so it was a 50-50. I would like blame Chesney for not going because nobody else was putting in, so he had to go in because if he stands there, there's a high chance it will go in. So
No, that's fair.
if it's a penalty, I mean, there's more chance. Okay, he can at least save it, or it might go out or something. Then it's better than a certain goal.
I mean, fair enough. It was 50-50. But then again, it happens in games like that. So that was
Yes.
okay, done. But
Mm.
already that was a indication for what was to come. And these
Mm.
guys were rapid and very
Yeah.
difficult for Barcelona to close them down. And they were legit struggling to get back. They tried their high line.
Yeah.
And in general, it's not felt like on paper and in reality also Barcelona were outplayed in this game, and the scoreline shows that a 3-1 drubbing, and there were a few goals ruled out for offside. If that and that too
Mm.
by the tiniest of margins. If that didn't happen, eventually
I
Barcelona won
guess.
5-1 because they scored one goal. If they did
Yeah.
not score that one goal also, it would have become 4-3, and that is a very, very close thing, and
Very,
that would
very
have
close.
given Dortmund a mental advantage to try and push and get that last goal to take it to extra time. But as a
Didn't
Barcelona
have.
fan, thankfully that didn't happen.
I mean, I guess I don't think maybe till now everything was like Barca was like kind of invulnerable at point. Like I mean, there wasn't like any team that seriously exploited like any defensive lapses as now until this game. I would say I don't think they conceded this many goals in any other game in the UCL till now. Like this 3 goals or something or more than that. If I'm not
Monaco, we
wrong.
lost quite horribly, so that's also there.
But that was earlier in the this thing. After that,
Fair enough.
that was too early in the season. I mean, like
Ah,
since like they were like on course to finish second and like on like completely dominating that sort of gameplay. And yeah, so I think the first time, like especially in this quarterfinal stage.
and also Barcelona's form coming into this game. I am not saying that okay, there's an excuse for how they played because that game was really shambolic.
Mm.
But this game, the UCL leg two, and the league in the game in the league before this leg. Yeah, that was quite
Mm.
hard to say. Both these games, they did not score. Both of those goals that were on paper there were own goals in the league on Saturday and this game on Wednesday. Both were own goals, and that was getting concerning because it was almost been a week since Barcelona had scored a goal, and this was supposed to be a front line that was
And
going to terrorize Dortmund. So it didn't look like that at all. At all.
yeah.
At one point, I turned off my phone and I said, "The more we keep watching, the more we keep losing. So I'm not going to watch." So I turned off the game. I opened SofaScore and I'm following. I'm following. I'm following.
No, even after this game also, I think I actually saw like the game after, like the one they played yesterday. I think they won 4-3 in that game. So Celta Vigo, I
The
guess.
comeback,
One
yeah,
thing
yeah.
I was like recently, is it been like that they've been conceding a lot of goals and like relying on the attack to like kind of outscore the opponent?
I
Like
mean,
this is something which I know I wanted to ask because you've been watching more games.
so there is this curious case. I think I've made an point about this in the previous video also, where I said that because it's Kubarsi and Inigo Martinez, they are managing that highline because they're sticking to what the manager is saying. The second one of these two is out, and even someone as good, and I think Araujo is quite a good defender, comes in, he's not as drilled in this high
System.
line or how fast they have to drop back and how much they have to keep, because if you watch the game also and you see how many goals are ruled offside, you see that the defenders, they keep looking for the line and immediately they pull back a few inches, go in front of a few inches, and that micro adjustment keeps going on throughout the game. And if
Yeah.
you're not used to that, especially for a person coming back from injury and is not used to it, I understand that he struggled. I'm not making an excuse for him because he's supposed to be an elite defender and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think that is one reason. And there's another interesting fact that, not a fact, like basically an observation that I made. If you look at that world-beating Bayern team that Hansi Flick had coached, towards the end of that season,
I
also
I
Bayern started
I
conceding
I
so many
was
goals.
I was about to come to that, like that's and that season particularly because everybody was like full on like instructing. By the second season, clearly it started coming up. We were playing the same game most of the other than the missing Thiago, most of the team was same. There's not much difference between that team and the previous year's team, especially the attack. Most of the in case defense also. The problem was they started changing positions players. Kimmich no longer wanted to play in right back; he wanted to come in center. So there's a void there also, which took some so long to find a good player there. Alaba also wasn't willing to play as fullback. He wanted to come center. He wanted to play CDM in between. So there was a lot of. The problem was these players were so used to that particular position in that system. Once they started changing anything, or if once they got injured and someone else came in, they couldn't handle it properly. That is what I guess like the second season in Flick. I mean, if given more time, maybe he would have fixed it. We never know about that because they never gave him time. So I mean, like this is like I like that. I wanted to know if you feel the same way what I saw when I was watching Flick's Bayern.
And I don't think it's that it's Flick's mistake. I just think that this happens with many teams that try a different strategy or try to break their mold, because Barcelona is known to play their rigid passing kind of a thing. They stick to
Yeah.
that so much. And so when a manager comes and changes it, people are not expecting that team to perform as well once the tactics change. But Barcelona actually clicked here. So once, and this is not Spain. In Spain, people might not have seen Barcelona playing like this, or his tactics implemented to this perfection in Spain. But when you move to Europe, if you see the exact same thing, they have seen a Bayern team that plays like this. And there are many other teams who play with a high line and they play a good counter pressing style of football. So when you move to Europe from outside your league, I think it automatically becomes a little bit more difficult, especially because people know and they play different kinds of opponents day in and day out. So elite
Yeah.
teams like, especially like now, for example, if you take Dortmund have played this game against Bayern, a very very similar
Yeah,
tactic, a very very similar setup.
yes, that I think that kind of motivated them. We were when I watched the game also. I'm like, okay, suddenly how they're playing well. My suspect was one reason was probably we were not that great, but then for Dortmund, who are like right now mid table, close to like mid table, like not even close to any European slots. Suddenly, all of a sudden, they are playing. Probably they didn't have anything to lose, or something that Kovac has done. Like he's known for like tactics like this. like hitting teams in the counter, breaking the high line. So would have been that. So I mean that probably the game against Bayern gave them confidence because they came back from a losing position and got that draw. So yeah, that also would be helpful. And plus, I guess I think finally at least Gurasi started clicking. Till now, I think
Exactly.
yeah.
Fellow was running through people like they didn't exist. Quite literally, he was running through people like they didn't exist. He was like, okay, okay, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it was like actually I don't know. Like most people would have like written off the game. I think if people who watched it, what a nice game. I mean,
And it was
uh,
an entertainment game. I
entertaining
was
game.
on the other side, so it was very anxious. I was very anxious throughout the whole
Yeah.
game, but it was a very entertaining game nonetheless.
I mean, good sportsmanship from both teams towards after the end of the games. I mean, the Twitter handles like
Yeah, that was good. Wholesome
appreciating it,
moment.
wholesome, yeah, appreciating each other. Okay, now since this match is done, did you like any other thing to add in this game?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, all props to Dortmund. Despite sucking in the league, they actually came out swinging when all hope seemed lost. To say that
Yeah,
yes, we are still a capable team, but that
yeah,
brings us to the next question: that why don't you do this in the league anymore,
yeah. Sadly, we won't see Dortmund next year in the
in the
UCL
Champions League?
Champions
Yes.
League. We won't see them in Europe itself. Then I mean, I don't know when was the last time that happened. So yeah, it'll be odd.
I mean, I think sometimes teams need to go through this bad phase so that they realize that oh shit, we have to actually step up. I don't know if Dortmund will be able to do that considering how they have been going, but we can never
I mean,
write them
it's
off.
it's it's a time for them to like. I mean, less pressure will be on them. This thing. I mean, after this Club World Cup, I don't think won't have any fixture congestion issues. So they have plenty of time to like create a strategy or test out new things, and they should be at least able to recoup and finish somewhere near European spots next year.
Yes.
So since we are all done with this, I think it's
We'll
yeah, yeah.
we'll move on to the Villa game.
No, okay, fine. I was like this thing. Why don't we like finish the what you call the opponents that they faced the other game? So we go in that order.
Oh sure, fine. Why not? Let's go.
So what I meant was we go to the Inter and Bayern game because the winner of the game will be facing Barca in the next round.
Sure, sure. Yep.
So coming to that game, I don't know. Like there were patches in which Bayern actually showed intent, and again the worst case scenario that I would have expected happened. For some reason, he started Sane, which he didn't do anything, and I knew, and he saw that he got a premonition of that in the Dortmund game also, but company still chose to start Sane. And it was so evident that he was bad that he had to sub him out in halftime. And a moment they subbed him out, we started playing well. He started playing well, and I mean, compared to the first half, excluding the first goal or something, that what do you call Kane goal we scored. Like second half, like we played much better, and kudos to like Inter. I mean, they had to be fair, they as a team had much better mentality and intent to like get into the next round. And I mean, to some extent, I guess the prediction I made, like Inter have not beaten Bayern at their home, to some extent is
I
kind
mean,
of
if it's a
there.
draw, it's a draw.
If
It's
it's
a, you
a,
don't beat
draw,
them.
yeah. So to some extent, that was there. But then overall, in the two legs, I think what do you call they managed to do well. It was also like I mean we expected it to be like a tight game. There was 50-50 chance. I mean it showed up in the game also. Like it went down right till the end. It finished 4-3, and Martinez again like had a great game. Last game also he scored, but
Again, underrated
uh,
striker of our
underrated
generation. He doesn't
striker.
get the respect he deserves.
Although the goal that he scored, this thing on the build up, there was actually a handball.
I mean,
I'm sorry to point that
no,
out.
no, no, that's not wrong. It is to point it out. Yesterday, I was watching a video by this guy called Fiago on this thing. He was talking about how German clubs get the bad side of all these things because usually,
Yeah,
whenever they against them, they'll call nicely.
Hmm.
For them, they'll never call, and that's true. I have also noticed that. I just don't want to say it
No,
because
I watched the
sometimes it
game.
benefits my club also.
I didn't notice it because there was not much replays that was showing. Like immediately they went on to play. They didn't show that angle. Then later on, I saw videos. Probably it's because the streaming site here didn't show us that this thing. Probably international others, what you call other countries, they would have seen it more clearly. So initially I didn't see, and later on I saw. I'm like, okay. But then that was not an excuse. I mean, we should have cleared that ball. Some Kim should have marked Martinez. Like it was completely. I don't know what was happening there. I mean, it's not a justification for how we play, but then the tie would have changed differently. If it weren't for that goal, because that is when Inter started coming back into the game. Then immediately they took control of the game, and
I have this question to ask, and since you're a Bayern fan, do you think
mm,
that the team is not really playing like a team anymore? I mean, just because they have good people, like
mm,
good actual players on the field,
yeah.
I feel like they are giving results more than what this
That's it.
team as a collective can actually produce.
Yes.
I
So,
feel like there's a lot of individual brilliance that is dragging this team to the results. And I'm
hmm,
not saying it's to blame the manager or nothing. No, no, no.
yeah,
Company is actually doing a much more remarkable job for a person who got a club relegated to coming and winning the league title this year. Of course, it's commendable. But I do feel like the team doesn't feel like a team anymore. There is something that you see on
hmm,
the field where you feel like, okay, yeah, these guys are a gang, these guys are close, these guys are tight. I don't feel like I can see that on the ground or whatever we see off the pitch also, but then off the pitch you have to take it with a pinch of salt. But
so,
still, I don't feel like they are that tuned in, that dialed in, because there are some players who are just perfectly in sync with each other. They know, okay,
hmm,
this guy is going to do this guy is going to do this. I feel like they're relying on a lot of individual brilliance to drag them to where they are right now, and
yeah.
long term it's not sustainable for a big club like this.
I mean, that is a general consensus going on. Like, we don't play as a team anymore. I mean, since the start of the season, but like, yes, last season itself, we started seeing things like this. As you said, there are a lot of individual talent. I mean, and there are a lot of factors. I would say, like currently, I would say lack of teamwork and there was some mentalities. One thing that was there was a lot of the first starting 11 players were missing in this game, and these are players in very crucial positions, or two players in defense who are definite starters. Out of them, like I would say Upamecano and Dyer were supposed to be the starting 11. Kim was not at all in good. I mean, if Upamecano was starting, we would have had more confidence in defense. Second, Davis would have been very good, especially since Inter's what you call wing is. I don't think they would have kept up with him with that much pace. So we could have gotten in behind the defense. He would have made good runs. One thing that would also would have happened. And the problem again is these are not like junior players. Also compared to Dyer and Kim, Upamecano is a senior player, and he actually started more games, and he actually is the leader in the defense. Whatever is the opinion about him. And second thing, the second main position was Musiala. I mean, one of the best creative sources. Like that is the player as you look up to when you want to, like when you are in such situations, when you are facing a extremely solid defense and you want to create chances. And I was clearly missing. I mean, Muller tried doing something like, I mean, at one point he can't, like you saw, I like it was evident that his age is keeping up to him. And I would say he had a great game based on his age and based on like what position he was at the starting of the season. Not a regular starter, he actually tried well. And the only creative source that was coming where was Olise. And for the most of all, there's like a 21-year-old keeper who has like who's the second or third. Like I mean, his first game was itself a knockout UCL game. I mean, I cannot expect anything out of this thing, anything exorbitant. I mean, he did try, like, there were some tricky situations where he actually did manage to hold his composure, especially with some antics Kim was doing behind the defense. Yeah, and he managed to hold. But then some situation you say he could have done it better, maybe claiming the ball. If it was Neuer, there was a high chance he would have come and collected the ball instead of Martinez. That goal, Martinez scored that goal fumbling there. So some things, and especially since Neuer was the captain also, so the whole defensive line's mindset changes when the starting keeper, who is also the captain and who is also like the senior most player, is missing. And this is like only one part of the reason why there is no like mentality right now. And this, okay, to some extent we can forgive because of like not necessarily like the direct fault in this. But something which we cannot forgive is the players that are on the pitch. Players like Sane, Kimmich. Okay, I said Kimmich's form. I think I said this earlier. Kimmich's form is going to depend, it's going to decide the game. And sadly, last game he didn't have a great game. He didn't have a great game. There was much more less impact from his side. And as much as like Goretzka and Kimmich are like talented players, there is potential. There is that pairing does not seem to work. And we've been trying to do something over again for so many this thing. And at one point, Goretzka was out of the squad, and Musiala was playing a little more deeper at one point. I mean, second half, like whole, I don't know what was going on there. So Pavlovic came in instead of Goretzka. Muller went to side. Olise went that side, opposite side. Gnabry was playing in center. But I don't know. It was better than what was there before. But yeah, right now I would say like the players with the high like best mentality, like that fighting spirit, are only two players. One is Muller and second is Eric Dyer. To how much ever like after that game, so many people of our fans came to me, and this guy who we treated like some second grade player, like some temporary shift thing, he's playing better than arguably like our next defensive prospect in Kim Min Jae, which we paid 80 million for. This guy is playing better and he's showing up in games, and he actually even scored a goal. Like that is
You paid
proud.
80 million for
Yeah,
him. Ah.
close to 80 million for him. Yes.
What the hell?
So he just came out of Napoli, that Napoli winning team season. So the
80 million. Ah.
80
That's
million.
more than they paid for Van Dyke, brother.
Yes, yes. He's quite
Oh my
expensive. He was
god.
quite expensive. This is like including add-ons and all, so like it's quite expensive.
Still,
And yeah,
Eric Dyer as a, how should I say this? He's very
that's all.
maligned by the community in general. But
Yes.
then, like, I think the
No,
word you were looking for is he plays more with more passion for the badge than a lot
passion
of
is
people on
there.
that
Like
pitch.
he's actually following the instructions that is being done. He being a relatively new player, he's showing like more leadership qualities. Like he's helping the players around him. And there's a general consensus after the game. People were sympathizing with Harry Kane not winning a trophy. Now everybody wants to win the trophy just for Dyer, because he has actually in games that mattered, he has given more intent. No discredit to Kane. Kane has done his part, but then there were certain games in which we would have expected him to come up, and he actually came up short, especially in the first leg against Inter, where he missed so many good chances. Like he did redeem himself in this game, but then it was not enough. Like these fine details matter in the UCL at the end.
True.
And boy, I don't have to mention about Sane. I don't know. I think it's time to sell him off, whatever it is. And Sane and Kim, it's definitely, I think Bayern are entertaining offers to sell him. And Sane, I don't
Kim
know. And
also.
yeah,
You
Kim
got him like
definitely.
3 seasons back, no?
Yeah, Kim definitely there. Like nothing is working. We've been trying to this thing, but nothing. There's no promising. Upamecano at least he had a rough patch. He's actually growing into actually a good CB over time. Even though like injury is plaguing him a little bit. So compared to that, we can't sell the whole entire back line, especially if we don't know Dyer is staying or going. And
I mean, your backline has been bad for the last 2 years at
yeah,
least.
yeah,
There was one season in which Upamecano was so bad that
yeah.
commentators started calling him Upa Maguire and stuff.
I,
So
there was
there are
that was a
phases where it's very bad.
Madrid game.
My God. So there are
That was the
times
Madrid.
when he's bad. And
Yeah.
again, you can put that down to lack of experience and all that. But then
No,
again,
the
this summer
problem.
is going to be very interesting because there are a lot of teams that need to rebuild in so many areas.
Yeah.
Not in the least Bayern and Real Madrid. And to some extent, even Liverpool because they need a refresh now. because Van Dijk at the most another 2 years, and they'll slowly have to start phasing him out.
Yeah.
Trent is out. Again, that's a conversation for another day. Let's not go into it.
So I mean that pretty much sums up like how the Bayern, like there is clearly, I mean it's not wrong for any of you who watched the game to think. I mean I watched it with two people and everybody was telling the same thing. There is no gelling between this team. And even though the scoreline shows 2-2, the game was actually not very interesting to watch.
I mean,
It was
that is
not like,
typical.
yeah,
That
it
is
was not.
typically how Inter play also. No, they
I mean,
don't want the ball. You
that's
keep
what.
the ball. We will score.
That's what. And in Bayern are like it's we will we will keep holding the ball and do nothing productive in front. So they were obliging to do that. I'm sorry. First half was so like uneventful that halfway through the game for 5 minutes, I think I slept off. I'm sorry, I didn't watch the 5 minutes. I slept off despite there were like three people watching there. They're not even Bayern fans were sitting next to me. And at one point, I had to wake myself up just to like rant at Sane for how horrible he was. The people around me are telling me, calm down. And it was
The
so bad.
Sane hate is real.
Yeah, it was so bad. Olise had to come from right wing to play in left wing because this guy is not doing anything. He came all the way there to play that. Yeah, so enough like making. I think I already made enough comments about Bayern during the Bayern rant video to check that out. To all the new viewers who watched our recent videos. And coming to Inter, I guess I think they had their plan sorted out. I mean, they might have got little uncomfortable when we scored our second goal at that Eric Dyer header, and then like it was not going according to plan. It was the last 10 minutes they were struggling to like get a control of the game. Probably some way, okay, showing okay, they also even their defense like with something which they did is also penetrable or vulnerable if you have the enough set of players and if there is mentality. I mean, if our attack with like so much how do I say what do you call there is no unity or like there's so much flaws in our team, we are able to score. I mean, a team that is like in better fluid and creates better chances, are better at finishing, they can definitely score. And one thing that was like I think the most offensive thing or like the most like hurtful thing like from a Bayern standpoint is the way Pavard scored and he celebrated as the even though we were a former club. I mean, the moment I watched that, I'm okay. I mean, that is the okay done game. And at that moment, I thought the game was just watching like, okay, will we get humiliated or will we manage to hold dignity? And then we somehow scored and ended up good. I mean, if there was a way to lose, I mean, this was like okay's way to lose. I guess like not much disrespect there. And again, Sommer doing very well in the game, dictating a defense, like calling out players, very doing. And yeah, so two of our former players against us winning. I mean, we wish the best for them. Good team. I mean, it's been a while since they also won the UCL, so yeah, hopefully they can go further in the competition. Even though it looks a little tough, the teams that are about to come against them next. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums. Anything else to add in this?
Yeah, so these two matches we will make it as one video. So thank you so much for watching. Just one last observation before we leave. I have the UCL League stage ka table open before me, and the
Yeah,
top 8 teams automatically moved on, and the other next 16 teams had to play amongst themselves to play these 8.
yeah.
Can you give me a rough idea of how many teams of the top 8 do you think made it to the quarters?
Two.
Actually, it's just 3. Liverpool got knocked out. Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter. All 3 of them on 19 points are still in.
Okay.
Whereas Liverpool with 21 are out. Atletico
Okay.
with 18 are out.
Okay.
Leverkusen with 16 are out.
Yeah.
Lille with
Aston
16 are
Villa.
out. Aston Villa with
Aston.
16 are out.
Yeah.
Out of the 8 teams that automatically made, and the next 16 teams out of which we had big names like Bayern and Real and all of that, and PSG and stuff like that. And we were like, oh my god, this is the disgrace, what is happening? They somehow managed to pull through this. And the
Yeah.
actual people who did so well in the group stage, there are only 3 teams left from there in the who are in the, I mean, who are going to go on. But again, this table, this whole Champions League format is so weird. If you think about it, a lot of these few of these top eight teams didn't make it into the quarters.
Yeah.
Okay, but again in the semis, out of the four teams, three teams are from the top eight.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
technically, whoever did well in the league are also doing well and progressing into the competition. But
yeah.
then I don't know.
No,
I don't know how to interpret this.
that's
It's
what.
so difficult to understand what is happening.
No, I mean, simple way to put it, like I guess teams that are in the top four to some extent, other than Liverpool, I think Liverpool was like an odd case. So other than that, teams that usually there are like four teams that usually do well in the group stages. I mean, from in the previous editions, four teams who actually make all the way till the quarters, or to some extent the semis also they make. The fact the below these four teams, it's always difficult to pick up because there are some quality teams who actually come into the competition later on, and plus because there's so many games going on, form kept fluctuating a lot. So I mean, kind of justified, but then I mean that's because like PSG had an insane turnaround to their season. I mean, they got their shit together, like just like
And
that.
I think
Yeah,
also this is the first time we are seeing the whole table together. I mean, like all the clubs together clubbed into one table. Earlier it was group
yeah,
wise
group
ranking. So
wise, yes,
looking at everything together puts
yeah.
a lot of things into perspective. And maybe one day we'll have to sit down and analyze what is going on. One day we'll understand how this goes on.
and
But
and and,
anyway,
and this is very like actually this semi-final lineup is actually very diverse, you would say. Like there are like four different teams from four different countries, and like three of them are in chase of a treble. Two clubs already done it before, one is going for the first time, and two teams who have never won the UCL. One of them will definitely make the final. So it's very interesting, and two teams that have not won for a long time, coming for like the title, like for a long time they're not in the amongst the top. So they have a lot of like how will I say, a lot of things to prove for these two teams. Like a lot of storylines are coming. I mean, it's not like for past few years there was City, there was Real, there was Bayern, all this same thing. No, there's this time I feel like it's like completely different, and it's good to see as different teams in the mix, like the teams you usually wouldn't have expected in the last 4 years, and the usual suspects are out. And to some extent, it's good to see Real not going anymore.
I mean,
Yeah.
we'll get to that in the next video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah. Bye bye.